What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian Ryan Walker. We're gonna get this thing started with the with the pregame meal, discussing the Vikings and the Falcons today, as well as talking a little college football. So sit back, relax, enjoy. We got you covered. So hit that like and subscribe button on the way in. We got you. Birdcage. Hey, we're back. So today, the Falcons play against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a big game today because Kirk Cousins is going back to the place where he left off, and he actually had an MVP type season. So before he got injured, but sitting back looking at it, it's just one of these things where all you can do is laugh. We're getting the shell of Kirk Cousins, but a lot of people at this point are a little tired of the excuses that we're getting. Listen, we got to get you to where you're playing good football at this point. Everybody is starting to kind of chime in and say, hey, we want the rook. We want the rook. But as I've said before, what we need now with the rookie is this. We've got to get him an offensive lineman on his blind side that is going to keep him upright. Yes, he can run. Yes, he's mobile. But when you're going against a team like the Minnesota Vikings or anyone that actually has a defense that can rush the passer, who can get off, that is a team that you don't really want to put him in harm's way with. But today is a day of no excuses. The defense showed up last week. The offense didn't. We've got to have more consistency with the offense today, period. And with the offense having that consistency, that falls back on your offensive coordinator. That falls on so many other people at this point. I'm having some slight camera issues, so you guys forgive me. But when you sit back and you look at it, the Falcons are in a spot where it's dangerous. It's dangerous at this point because you got Tampa Bay still on the heels of everything. I'm actually working on my camera while I talk to you guys. Do apologize. We do have technical difficulties from time to time. But when you look back at the whole situation and the whole kit and caboodle, at this point, Kirk has got to stop looking his receivers down. He's got to start doing a little bit better when it comes to his decision making instead of just locking in on Drake. We have so many other weapons and so many other things that you can do. Like, go back to last week. We had a chance to win the ball game with a potential touchdown. Kirk Cousins is running the pass that he threw out the back of the end zone. Bijan Robinson was cutting right in front of him. All he had to do was just pitch it off, let Bijan pick up the first down, or walk into the end zone. Either way, it was a game-winning play. You can't put yourself in a situation to where you have plays to where you can win the ball game and you put yourself behind the eight ball. You can't do that. When we sit back and we diagnose it, jet sweeps got to be taken out of this offense. I'm sorry. And running out of the pistol formation has to be taken out of this offense. We've got to be in a situation to where we're able to go back to single backfield. We need a fullback in this offense. You need to have somebody that's going to open up holes. There's nothing wrong with having a fullback. If you look at the success of the 49ers at the time, not saying now, but if you look at the success of the 49ers offense, they have a fullback. Guess what? They take on that extra linebacker or whatnot that decides to fill the gap. And you're able to have more explosive runs when you have an extra man blocking and giving your running back a little bit more breathing room. I get Bijan is a talented player, so is Tyler Algier. However, you have to be able to give these guys room to work. You can't just expect them just to blast through everybody that's in front of them. Sometimes you got to have some folks that's going to open up holes, period. So I provided the link for you guys in here. So if you want to come in, chop it up with me today and before the game, definitely would love to have you guys in here. But we're going to also talk a little bit about what's going on with these Vikings at this point. The Vikings are definitely a team that you can't take lightly. They're definitely a team that is dangerous this year. Sam Darnold is a quarterback that you have to deal with. You have to deal with. And when you look at Sam Darnold, he's a guy that can open things up for his team if he doesn't have any pressure on him. So at this point, what you have to do is really look at it like this. And with the way that the Falcons are built, you're going to have to run into the teeth of that defense. You're going to have, it's pretty much like you facing a hurricane. For my fellow Coast Guardsmen out there who have saved lives in the water, shout out to my branch of service, U.S. Coast Guard. You look at the eye of the storm. That's what you're doing with the Minnesota defense. You're looking at the eye of the storm. With this Minnesota defense, you have to run at it. You cannot run around it. You cannot run away from it. This is a game where you have to establish dominance in the trenches. You have to let your offensive line play bully ball. You can't let Kirk throw it 40, 50 times a game. You have to attack this defense. When you look at the Vikings altogether, Sam Darnold, again, gives them their best chance to win. You look at their roster where you have Jefferson, and then you have the young guy out of I always forget his name. You got the cat that's out of USC. That was a first-round pick. You got two receivers who are definitely going to be dangerous this week. And the thing that makes them dangerous is this. The routes are timing, speed, and quickness. What we need to do for Atlanta, we've got to put ourselves in a position to play physical football. And when I say physical football, I'm not talking about just the offense, but also with the defense as well. The thing is, when you talk about the defense, we got to play a little bit more bump and run coverage. We've got to be able to come downhill, slow down the run. We've got to be able to throw off those dig routes and those out routes that people have been killing us on. We've got to be able to get off the field on third down. That is going to be critical in this football game. If you can't get off the field on third down, you're going to have problems throughout the whole game. Because if an offense is on the field with too many third and longs, if you can get a pass rush going, that is going to be a little arduous for them. But you can't let them convert third downs. You can't let them move the chains on you. You have to be able to slow them down. But what I think that makes this matchup special, and the Falcons could possibly win this ball game. I know a lot of people are kind of laughing like, you got your rabbit if you believe that the Falcons are going to win this game. Here's the thing that also helps us out. Stephon Gilmore is going to be out. You got Levi Drake Rodriguez that's going to be out. Dan Freeney is going to be out. That's offensive tackle. Then you have Walter Rouse that's going to be out. And then Pat Jones, the second, is going to be out today for their defense. So they have a couple of key pieces that are going to be missing today. So this is when you attack this defense. When you have core players that are going to be missing today, Gilmore provides the veteran leadership, the savvy as a veteran corner, and being able to shut down some of the league's best. He's not going to be there. He's going to have to coach some of these young guys up. So the way that you're going to have to get this game going, you've got to attack these young corners that are going to be for Minnesota. You don't have a vet out there that's going to keep everything balanced. Another person that you have to worry about this week is TJ Hawkinson, the tight end. We have not done well against tight ends except Kelsey. We kept him limited, but we have not done well with tight ends and being able to keep them from being a distraction for our linebackers, because there have been problematic situations where our linebackers have not been able to cover in any of these ball games. We have old school throwback linebackers that are just downhill guys that will play the run. When you look at being able to play the pass, it's a bit of a deficiency at this point. So what we're going to have to do to help these guys out, you're going to have to bring some safety blitzes. You're going to have to bring a cat blitz or whatnot, corner blitz here and there, because you got to disrupt the timing. Because if Hawkinson is running seam routes or being able to be matched up one-on-one in the red zone with the linebacker, they're going to take that all day. that is pretty much like giving candy to a baby. So there are ways that we're going to have to throw this team off. It's so many things that we can divulge into when you look at this football game and you see everything that's actually happening with Minnesota. They're a team that's going to be a playoff team. So if Atlanta hopes to get to the playoffs or whatnot, your first step is actually beating a quality football team today. You have to win this game. Your season right now is in the balance, period. Whether you want to realize it or not, the Falcons are in a situation to where they have to win today. It's non-negotiable because at this point, Tampa Bay fired the warning shots when they got close and they pretty much tied us record-wise. No excuses at this point. You had a 3 to 4 game lead and you pissed it away. You pissed it away. There's no way that you can sit back and say that that was accidental or that was a situation that just I don't know how I would even put that. I would say you didn't give yourself a chance or whatnot. All I can say is hopefully we get to a place to where we can, how can I put it? Hopefully we can get to a place where we can find some continuity on this team. Because one week your defense shows up, then that same week your offense doesn't show up, or vice versa. Your offense shows up, then your defense forgets how to tackle. We've got to play a full complementary game, period. If you can't play a full complementary game, you're not going to have an opportunity to play in the postseason. You're not going to achieve the goal of outrunning the South, as Raheem Morris would say. That is something that you have to look at, and that is something that you just do. But I don't know. When I look at my coaching staff, but I look at Raheem Morris and I see a man that at this point is dumbfounded. When I say dumbfounded, I mean dumbfounded. And decision making. When I look at everything, when you talk about decision making and him really thinking things through, we have yet to see that. He's lost a lot of the steam because he's starting to become another Dan Quinn. How Dan Quinn was with the Falcons, being able to maneuver through everything. I'm just messing with you, Will. You didn't have to say it. I just wanted to mess with you because you started to dive in. But you have to maneuver and you have to start thinking outside of the box. You have to start making some tough and crucial decisions at this part of the season, whether it's offense or defense. You literally have not been good at your decision making. You haven't. And the only thing that you can do at this point, we don't need you playing politician. That is something that we don't need you to do. Playing politician at this point is one of the worst things you could do. Period. It is one of the worst things you could do. Because you have no leverage at this point. You haven't won anything. You haven't done anything that's been worth anything at this point. You are a mouthpiece. What you need to do, close your mouth, take accountability, stop acting like there are no serious deficiencies on this team, address these deficiencies, and make sure that you got your guys in gear and mentally focused to get the job done. Now, I'm going to go ahead and compare this. Yeah, I'm a dog fan, as you can see. Got, 40th year anniversary hoodie on. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs for knocking off the Texas Longhorns, welcoming the Longhorns to the SEC championship, letting them know it was nothing sweet. But when you look at, and I'm using this as an example, when you look at that Kirby Smart team, no, there are a lot of deficiencies on that team, from drop passes, missed blocks, interceptions, missed tackles. This team has been up and down, but they finished out their goal, and now they're going to the playoffs with the number 2 seed and got an SEC championship along the way. With all the issues that were the problem, Kirby kept that team focused. Kirby got those guys to play all 4 quarters. Raheem, you came in the press conference saying you wanted the Falcons to win like Georgia. You wanted to be like Kirby. Here's the thing, brother. Less talking in the press, more focus on your team, more focus on making crucial decisions, more focus on getting guys ready to play, more focus on getting on your coaches when they're not getting things right. There are too many things that you have to fix at this point. We weren't a quarterback away. You lied. Our defense had a couple of good games, but they're not consistent. Neither is our offense. The Falcons are dealing with the same issue the Dogs are dealing with. The problem is the Falcons are not able to capitalize on some of the things that we have seen. They're not. And when you look at how the Falcons are going about business at this point, all you can do is hope that the senior leadership on this team actually brings a little bit more balance to this part of the season, because right now we're in the meat and potato of the seasons, pretty much. We're at that point where these last few games could make and break the rest of the season. This could be either playoffs, no playoffs, division title, no division title. You're going to have a fight on your hands at the end of the season with Carolina. You've already swept the Bucks. You went 1-1 with the Aints. Now you have to handle business up until you get to the Bucks, because you have the Giants, the Commanders, you have the Vikings today, then you got the Raiders. These next couple of games are very crucial to the future of this season. Whether we're going to be at home, sitting down, boys are going to be fishing, going to Cancun early, or you hosting a playoff game in the Benz. It still can be done. I know it seems like a lot of fluff at this point when it comes to a lot of the content creators, a lot of the things that you're hearing in the media. We all fans at the end of the day. It's a lot of fluff. At this point, you have to find a way to make some things happen. You have to dig down and get your team to play hard. You have to. If you don't, you plan on, how can I put it? If you don't get your team to play hard, you're going to have a lot of guys to quit on you. You're going to have a lot of guys to quit on you at this point. It seems like certain parts of that locker room already are checked out. That's what it seems like. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But it just seems as if they're not taking this serious anymore. It's becoming more and more of a joke. And I just want everything to get back in order. And I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think that what's going to happen, we at least got to go 4 out of 5. It's pretty much damn near impossible to go 5 games straight right now. With the way that football has been played this year, from the Falcons to everybody else we're playing. Minnesota had a bad week last week. They're looking to get redemption and fix what's what at this point. That's what they're looking for. When you look at some of the guys that are going to be coming back this week, I think it's going to be a major boost if they get a chance. You got Ruka Roro coming back. Then you have Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes has been missed drastically in that secondary. He brought balance to it. However you want to look at it, he brought a balance to this secondary. The other thing is this. Ruka Roro, Grady Jarrett, and you look at Arnold Ebiketie starting to come around now finally. He's not doing just aerobics. I got to give a kid his credit. The man has figured out how to make plays when he's needed to within these few games, but we got to see that every week. Got to see it every week. So while we're sitting here thinking about it and looking at it, how do they finish down the stretch? How do the Falcons put themselves in a position to be mentally tough? Because being mentally tough is one of the best things that you can do as a football team when you go through battles. Georgia proved that last night. Texas had the better team. Let's be real. Texas had the better team on paper that should have won it last night. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it says on paper. You take what's on paper and put it on the field. It wasn't put on the field last night. Just like today. Minnesota has the better team on paper. But guess what? You've got to put it on the field. And as Ruka Roro has been ruled out for today's game, that's going to be tough. That is going to be tough again. We're literally leaving another great defender off this line. It sucks to not have him, but we're in a place now where all we can do is just look and just say, well, what's going to happen? What's going to be the next move? That's how I'm looking at it. I know it sounds a little crazy. What's happening, Smith? Hey, y'all check out that boy Smitty Sports Machine, him, A1, and then you got Berto 95 North Sports. And check him out on Bleacher Report as well. Those guys do some great work. Definitely love working with those brothers out here. But I'm going to take some of these comments. You know, like I said, I got a lot I want to say. It's a lot that's on my mind with this Falcons team because there's a lot of potential at this point to do some stuff. But I'm going to read this from Nando. He says, I need a run-centric offense called by Zach Robinson, Kirk Cousins. Shouldn't throw more than 23 times today. I need 12 to 15 touches from Algier as well. I agree. But here's the thing. Are we going to be able to, how can I put it, have competency up in that booth? We want this, but it has to be competent. It has to be competent. Because if we don't have any competency in that booth from our offensive coordinator, it's a done deal. It is a done deal. Zach Robinson's earned that this year. First year offensive coordinator. I mean, hey, it's what it is. He's got to earn his stripes. So, and I said the same thing earlier, Smith, if you wasn't in here. You have to win. You have to win at the line of scrimmage, and you have to get pressure on Darnold. What's up, Scooter? Man, I agree. The defensive tackles that we've had this year have hardly played. You got to look at it. Dorless hasn't really played, and then Trice has been out with that knee injury all year. So we'll never know. But one of the guys that I wanted to draft was Jared Verse. Verse has been showing out this year. Great numbers for a guy coming in as a rookie edge rusher and literally been playing well. But I want to see what Trice is going to look like next year and how he's mentally going to get back on point with that knee injury that he had this year. But all I can say is this. Yes, Smitty, they're tough, but we're going to have to run at him anyway. The way that you're going to have to run him, we're going to have to beat him down with Tyler Algier if they use him today, and then they're going to have to use Bijan Robinson to wear him out. That's how this goes. So at this point, all you can do is just keep your fingers crossed and just hope that they get this stuff right. And the other thing, we've got to be able to not only just control the line of scrimmage, we've got to be able to control the momentum. You've got to be able to control the momentum of the football game. When things go bad on the road, Raheem's going to have to get those guys calm. He's going to have to balance them out. That's how that's going to have to happen. Just how it works. That is how that's going to have to work. But again, it's just what it is at this point. Here's the other thing that you got to look at today. If Cousins is not playing well, if he gets hurt or anything, how much do you guys trust Michael Penix Jr. to come in and make some things happen? How do y'all trust it? That's my question. How do you trust Penix coming in with the right side of that line not being right? That's all I'm asking. How can you make adjustments on the fly? What can you do to get this team to not just buy into what you're doing, but to get everything squared away? That's my question. What can you do? Kirk is gonna have to throw the football today. No, a lot of people don't want to hear it, but with that run defense that they do have in Minneapolis and Minnesota, Kirk's got to throw the football today. And he's got to be smart with his decision making. He has to be smart with it. So at this point, it's just what it is. But I have the link in the chat. So if you want to come in here, you can and chop it up with me for a minute or two. I have no problem with that because this is a show made for the people, brought up by people's opinions. So I just put it back in the chat. I'm going to put this on Twitter as well so we can have some of our Twitter followers, our ex-followers, jump into this thing too. So I got a wide open space. You can talk about whether it's the Dogs' last night performance, the bowl games that were played last night, or you can just talk straight about the Falcons today. It's all about a football show. It's all about football because at the end of the day, some of these guys that we are looking at are going to be playing in the playoffs. They're going to be playing in the playoffs. So I'm loving it. So that is in X. This is in YouTube. So if you want to jump on and you want to chime in, go right ahead. We got you covered today because this is a day that Falcon fans need to be heard because this is a turning point in the season for Falcon fans. Please be in a secure area if you come in here. I'm letting you know that now. So help us out on that, man. Definitely help us out on that. But hey, Will, let me know when you're ready to come on, man.
Already. What's up, man?
Your area, because I'm gonna remove your ass if you're not. Telling you that now.
I'm at work though, man.
What's up?
Salute historian, man. Man, my three keys to victory, man. We got to run the ball with some urgency, man. Use B. John Robinson early, get him hot. Use him as move him around with linebackers and safety so you could get Drake London and Darnell Mooney on some one-on-ones, but I expected us to run the ball early so we could open up the play action. I hope Zach Robinson come with a game plan, just running the route and make him second guess, and just open the play action. Give Kyle Pitts the ball early because I don't think Harris Smith could guard Kyle Pitts, but we need to execute with some urgency. That means all players have to just keep the discipline, block well, open lanes for Bijan, use Tyler second and third quarter, so we're gonna need him to heat our bowling ball because he a hard runner when runs after tackle. So we need Tyler Algier. We need at least 45 snaps for Tyler Algier respectfully. And on defense, man, just contain Sam Donald, eliminate the explosives because AJ Terrell, you got a tough task on Justin Jefferson. I expect Justin Simmons to move around guarding on tight end. What's his name? Hawkinson. Him. We need to stop the wrap up tackle rail. We got tackled well this game. So do not let Justin Jefferson. I know he can get his certain plays in, but if we limit him to at least close to yards after catch, we'd be good, man. And I think Mike Hughes, if he play, he could limit Jordan Addison down. So man, we need 2 interceptions on defense and get off the field. And offense, man, put like 21 points around halftime. Execute, man, on all three phases. And special teams, put the ball on the special teams, so we can have field yard advantage.
But I mean, here's the other thing that I think that's going to be dangerous when you talk about it. We got a kicker that's banged up. We have a kicker that is banged up. You understand what I'm saying? And when you look at the special teams phase of the ball game, we have to be able to get points, whether it's through his leg or whether it's us getting in the end zone. I prefer 7, but we're on the road and we are not consistent. You got to get points every time you get into the red zone today. You have to.
I think Ray McLeod was saying that, man. He was saying that we have to put points on the board. He said he holding everybody accountable. I just don't want Kirk Cousins to throw the ball so much and staring at the receivers. You know what I'm saying? We have to lean on the run because when we were leaning on the run, put Bijan Robinson early. He give us some touchdowns and some good runs. We could open up the play action, and we need to use Cardell hard, like he be saying. This dude needs some playing time. I will put him as a punt return, put him in the slot. We need him, man. Like you know what I'm saying. So we need to use all our players available, man. We need all hands on deck. This is gonna be a tough physical game here.
But here's the thing: that speed that Cordero Hodge has, and I've said this for the longest. You're talking about 4.3. You're talking about 4.3 speed. You're talking about a guy who not only can take the top off of them, he plays special teams very well. Covers kicks, covers punts. He does so many different things. And when you talk about being versatile, Cordero Hodge is a guy that could be an impact player and be that wild card. Like, I'll give you this. What's up, Smith? But I'm going to give you this, man. When you talk about the consistency, you have to figure out ways to use guys when stuff is up and down. The reason I keep referring to the Dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs, is because they've been doing it all year. Guys have been getting in trouble with the law. Guys have been getting hurt. They've been figuring out ways how to use talent and just rotate. Atlanta has to do the same thing. If you see something that's not working, you got to change it sometimes. You have to. And until we can change things up, it's always going to be inconsistently. Yeah. It's going to be consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense, fellas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Smith, right. We can't hear you, bro.
Well, I'm gonna let y'all chop it up, man. I might work.
Can you hear me now?
Party, I get off at
Perfect.
5, so I'm gonna let y'all chop it up. What's up, Smitty? I'll see y'all after the show.
What's up, Will?
Head back to work. Get to this paper.
Hey, get that paper, man. We'll see you then.
All
right.
Hey, man, Will better have my chicken. Will better have my chicken wing ready when I get there.
Smith. Hey, guess who's got the? I'm gonna throw this out here. Guess who got to eat? Who's getting ready to have one of the simplest paths to the quarterfinals and championship if they get there?
Georgia Bulldogs.
Guess who they got? Guess who's in the bracket with Georgia?
Probably
Notre Dame and Indiana. They just put them up, bro.
Oh yeah.
They got rewarded for their hard schedule this year.
I wonder who we gonna play though.
It's gonna be either way. We
probably
got
gonna be Oregon.
On.
Probably gonna be Oregon.
Oh, Tennessee and Ohio State is in that bracket with Oregon. Let's talk. You know what? We talking Falcon. We're gonna bring a little college football in here because we know we got fans of everything right now, bro. Right. So the first 4 teams: Oregon number 1, Georgia number 2, Boise State number 3, Arizona State is number 4. So Arizona State gets to play in the Fiesta Bowl at home.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you. And this is something that a lot of Falcon fans ain't going to want to hear, but if we
I watched that game, man.
Let me tell you.
Arizona State game, that team.
If they get rid of Tyler Algier, which I pray and hope they don't, guess what? Go get Cam Scatterborough out of Arizona State. Go get him. Because he's the same type of player Tyler Algier is. And you get him for cheap. But so we already got that.
You want to hear something crazy though? I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the future when last year's draft or this past draft. When I said that I would love to get a Braylon Allen, the kid from Wisconsin who went to the Jets. I knew he was going to be a day 3 pick. 1, because of age. 2, because I just feel like other running backs, had more experience than him. But again, you got to have that power back, especially with a Bijan Robinson. Braylon Allen would have been a perfect fit for the Falcons. But
can I give you a little something, Smitty? You're about to be in shock. Guess who is fine? Guess who got left out the playoffs this year?
Alabama.
SMU got that final spot.
And they deserved it.
I agree. When you look at a lot of these college teams at this point and you look at the talent that's there, it's just funny. It's funny because the Falcons at this point, they need to start looking at some of these teams, bro.
Yeah,
you got to start looking at some of these teams, and instead of bringing in just guys that you pick with pieces or whatever, you got to start scouting guys way during the season because we look at some of the deficiencies that we have. I want everybody to understand this. if we're gonna play Michael Penix Jr., you need to be looking at a right tackle right now.
Yep,
Right
that is
now.
exactly why. You remember what I said, that this offseason, this draft coming up,
We need a right tackle.
Reason, I just feel like we're gonna go tackle with that first pick.
And here's my thing. I want him to go right tackle, but it is what it is. And there are a lot of players right now who are, that are deserving. Like, I'm gonna give you this here. I told a friend of mine yesterday, they were like, well, where you gonna get your tackle from? I said, I'm gonna tell you just where I want my tackle from. I want him either from Boise State. I want him either from Iowa State, or I want him from freaking Ohio State. Everybody say, why? I want guys that can play in the cold weather and they can weather that storm.
I was gonna go in that same direction with Wisconsin. Wisconsin always
that's gonna be
turning
the
out physical offensive linemen, man. They always cornbread eating dudes. So you're gonna get look.
And here's the beautiful part about it. If you bring those type of guys in, you give Michael Penix a chance to thrive. Yeah, we're talking college football, but it's going to bring a sense of urgency for this Falcons team to start looking into protecting your future friends. You got your quarterback now. Let Cousins play the rest of this season out. I know a lot of people say we need to thump. No. Do not let them play Penix now. No.
And honestly, bro, I even went as far as saying that they probably should have signed another veteran backup to make Penix the third string, just to make sure he didn't play this year and just learn. Because you just don't want to throw him into the fire, and you looking at late in the season with teams are bringing all they got, and you play teams like the Raiders, the Giants, who have good pass rush, the Commanders with Dan Quinn, they have a decent pass rush. Well, they have good pass rush. Even Dante Fowler got 8.5 sacks. And then you play the Panthers at the end of the season. They've been playing pretty good. So, yeah, you just don't want to throw them into the fire.
You got to get, and this is my thing, you got to get him some protection, because the teams that we play against have figured out the money that you put into your team is, guess where you put your money at. It's just like what's going on with college football right now. You put your money into edge rushers, and you put your money into guys in the trenches.
Point blank period.
And your quarterback. Those are the areas you put your money into, because guess what? You can get wide receivers a dime a dozen.
We had that discussion the other night on the show. Yeah, them skill positions. Here's the other thing. Yeah, go ahead.
You can get running backs a dime a dozen, but to win ball games in the NFL, you have to be able to control that line of scrimmage, big dog.
Yeah. And that's why I don't understand why Kyle Shanahan can't take the 49ers to the next level, man. They can beat you in the trenches on both sides of the football. They can beat you down. But when you just don't have that mentality up there, I mean, from the head coach, ain't nothing you can do, bro. And I want to see what they're going to do with Brock Purdy, because if they have to pay him, that might hurt that team a whole lot. And this is why the Falcons must take advantage while Michael Penix is still young and early in his contract. Going to build them trenches up. Jake Matthews is getting long in the tooth. Caleb McGarry, this may be his last year because no more guaranteed money. So this is the perfect time to do that.
What do you think is going to be, and I want to know this, bro, what do you think is going to be one of the critical parts of the Falcons for the rest of the season? And how is the rest of the season going to shape up for our draft for next year? I know it's early to talk draft, but you got to throw it in.
Oh, no, it ain't never too early to talk draft, man. No,
I'm not mentioning players, but I mean, it's just one of these things where you sit back and you're like, what's going on?
So you saying what position should we shape up and look at? Should we look at going into the draft, depending on how the season shape out? Well, we talked about right tackle. That's a must. But honestly, bro, I'm gonna still go at defensive tackle as well, because like you've been saying, man, we still need that big body up front. And there's a couple of guys that I'm looking at in the draft, and I do that at another later day because I got it wrote down somewhere. But you need help at defensive tackle. Another position which I feel like they should have went after in last year's draft, and there's one guy in particular that I had on the radar that I felt like would have came in and started right away, and that's Edgerrin Cooper, former of Texas A&M. He would have been the perfect fit for the Falcons at middle linebacker because he's athletic, he's versatile, he can cover, he can blitz, he can do it all. He's like Nathan Landman and Caden Ellis rolled up into one.
Okay.
So
I like it.
Linebacker would be another one. I'm a little questioning about the number 2 cornerback position, so that's another position.
Now, so here's my thing. Would you be willing to take a linebacker? And you just mentioned one, and I got my notes right here because I'm taking notes and I'm always looking. So I'm pulling out.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's a guy that I've been looking at, and he plays. I told you I'm looking at lower level guys all the time, as well as guys that are on the top. But when you look at it, there's a kid out of Central State University, HBCU. I keep up with him. 6'2", 225. His name is Jaleel Lenore. Was a leading tackle on that team and was a monster coming downhill with over 100 tackles, as well as being able to cover in the flats. Now, Central State University, for those who don't know, is the same school that Hugh Douglas, who you guys hear on the radio, he came out of Central State University. There's another great offensive lineman who came out of that school by the name of Eric Williams, who played for the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only man to manhandle Jerome Brown, Reggie White, and
Reggie White.
Others.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he was a kid so Eric Williams is from North Philly. So he grew up watching when Reggie came into the city. That was one of Reggie's kids back in the day in the neighborhood that Reggie would take turkeys and stuff to. But Getting back to it, would you be opposed to taking that? Or there's an offensive lineman who's going to the Senior Bowl. He can play. He plays tackle and he also plays guard. 6'6", 305 pounds. His name is Carson Benson out of Alabama A&M. Steve Weish reposted him and had a lot to say about this young man coming out. And when you look at his lateral movement, his speed, his hands, that is a guy that I feel like that could be a potential rotational piece that we can bring in, that we can develop, and he could possibly get a starting job. I'll be honest with you. I put him in over McGarry right now as a first cheap college, a college senior right now. Put him in. And he's got a mean streak. He can be polished, but he's got a mean streak, and he can pass.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I don't have a problem with neither one of those. We have a very good offensive line coach in Dwayne Leffert, so I feel like that's a positive. And I'm glad you brought up HBCUs because when James Houston came out, I did a profile on him because I watched him at Jackson State. I said this kid has the talent.
Remember he left Florida.
He has the talent to be at the NFL level. What does he do the first season? 8 sacks. And now that he fell out of the rotation, I forgot where he signed, but that is a guy that I'm going to be looking at this offseason to see if the Falcons are going to go take a chance on him. Because you don't want to spend a lot of money on edge rushes, especially when you got Trice coming back. You have Ebiketie who has another year. I think Lorenzo Carter is gone. D'Angelo Malone may be gone. So you may draft another edge, but it may be day 2, day 3. But James Houston is one of those guys I think you should look at as a free agent. Low cost, bigger risk versus reward. I'm sorry, bigger reward versus risk. So that's what I would look at this offseason.
But here's the knock on him, though. The knock on him was this. He had problems at Florida because he didn't work hard. He came to Jackson State. Prime had to pull him aside and say, you ain't that dude. If you was that dude, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't have left Florida because you left the premier program, and there's no disrespect to what we doing here, but you weren't that dude at Florida. And Florida's a big-time school that put guys into the league, period. I mean, some of the best – and here's my thing. I hate Florida, but it's just what it is. They put some of the best defensive players in NFL history in the league.
Yeah, I remember way back to Kevin Carter, man. I
got one even better for you. Wilbur Marshall, one of the best outside linebackers to ever play this game. That should be considered for, which should be considered for the Hall of Fame at this point because of what he did in his career. Jack Youngblood was a monster back in the day as a defensive end / outside linebacker. You look at Joe. You look at your boy Joe Hayden, who played for Cleveland for a bit. Cornerback was solid.
One of my high school classmates, Antonio Camardi, played in Florida. So Yeah, they put out some talent, man.
So at this point, James has to be a guy that's gonna work. James got to be a guy that's gonna work because you don't want to bring him here where he feels entitled. Period.
Right.
Because that was the knock on him when he ended up leaving Florida to go to Jackson State. He goes to Detroit, has a good season, and he disappears.
Well, I mean, when you got talent that they brought in, that's going to, and I see him as a rotational player anyway. And when you have talent that they brought in, then when they brought in Zadarius Smith, that let me know his time was up in Detroit. But you bring him in as a rotational piece. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. If you can get 6-7 sacks out of a rotational player, you win that deal.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. And it's just funny as heck when you sit back and you laugh at it. And all I can say is this. I just sit back and I just think with all the talent that we have squandered in drafts, because you want to take.
We're gonna have to do a show on that, man, because we
you know what
so
that'll be.
much
You know
talent.
what, that'll be a hell of a collab because we can definitely collab on this one. Our camps get together and we do a show on this here. And look, it can't be. It's got to be probably an hour and a half, almost 2 hour special.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be long.
It's gonna be a special show that day.
It's gonna be a movie.
Because boy, with some of the stuff that we can talk about, with some of the players that we've missed out on and we've had opportunities to get, it's ridiculous. But getting back to it, because I'm gonna wrap this thing up, with the pregame meal, because I know you got to get to your show.
Yeah, I'll be on in about 5 minutes.
I'm about to wrap this thing up right now. So here's my question. What do you think needs to be done today with the Falcons and what's going to, and we already had our score predictions this week. So you came on the show.
Great preview show. Great preview show.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for coming by. You and A1 and my guys from the magnificent Birdcage crew. What do you think is going to help the Falcons win this ball game today?
I think this is Kirk Cousins' game. He has to be on point because, as I said in the preview show, the Vikings defense is very bad against the pass, and they're first against the run, giving up only, I think, 83 yards a game. So if they can get the run game going, it's going to be a plus. But also, if they get the running game going, it's going to open up everything else, including the pass game, which means Drake London, Darnell Mooney, even Kyle Pitts. All of them will be eating today. So I think that's going to be more key than anything. Kirk Cousins has to carry this team if they're to get off this slide.
Kirk Cousins is going to have to, he's got to be a little bit better with his decision-making today. Thanks. And not just the decision-making. He's got to put himself in a position to where he gives the Falcons a chance to win. Because if he's cooking today, that opens it up for the running game to be successful. Because if Cousins isn't playing well, guess what you're going to have? Everybody going to stack the box because guess what? Bijan's going to get Bijan's going to get a slant here. Bijan's going to run. Give Tyler Algier 10 to 15 carries today. You got to. You have to.
On that Viking front seven, you got to. Yeah, you got to, man.
With that front seven that they have, you have to wear them down some kind of way. Even if you got to give it to Algier in the red zone, do it. Do it. No disrespect to Bijan, but that's business decisions when people got to hit Tyler Algier still to this day. But it is what it is at this point. I appreciate you coming through the pregame meal, Smitty. I know you got to get ready for your show. You already ready for it, but you got to slide on over.
Yeah, I just got to slide on over.
A1
gonna be on. You come through.
I'm gonna have to check y'all. I'm gonna have to check y'all out because I got some stuff I got to take care of with some college fans that was ragging me a little bit on Twitter. So I got a little show I got to do before I slide to you guys. Cause bruh, you look, you already know what's getting ready to happen. We done had to hear all these fans, and it's a certain fan base that thought they was gonna get in because of their merit, and now that they out, I got some trash to talk.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a money pool at first because it was looking that way.
But outraged to leave SMU out today, bro.
Another team that should have got considered. I think Army should have got considered, even though they got blown out by Notre Dame. I still feel like they had a good enough season to be in the playoff push. But
and they won their conference championship. Indiana didn't.
Right, exactly.
But it's okay because look, Georgia has to play. Here's the beautiful part: Georgia got to play either Indiana or Notre Dame. So I'm happy about that. So appreciate you coming through, Smitty Smith. You have a great show. I will stop through for a moment or two after I take care of these folks over there that are a little sad right now because I got some trash to talk.
All right, bro. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. So the Falcons are going to have to do what they got to do today. We're going to get this thing right. So with that being said, we appreciate you guys for coming through to the pregame meal. I got some trash to talk, man. Matter of fact, I have some trash to take out now that the pregame meal is over with. So we'll see you at halftime today. Y'all either get right or get left. Peace.